President William Ruto returned to Kenya over the weekend from his most controversial US tour. But the questions and the controversies linger. Who really invited the Azimio leaders, people like Opiyo and I, Gladys Wanga, Wavinya Ndeti, to the US to accompany Ruto on his trip? Who really invited them? Stay with me. We're going to answer that question conclusively on my show today. Not tomorrow, today. Then there's the issue of blogger Pauline Njoroge, a very close ally of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, I've done my homework. I've checked and rechecked and reconfirmed. Pauline Njoroge and retired President Uhuru Kenyatta are still very tight. So, how do we explain the behavior of Pauline Njoroge in recent times? She covered Ruto's visit to the US. She was there. How do you explain that? And then the biggest headline, in my opinion, is that when Ruto got back into the country, you know it's traditional. It is our custom. When the president returns to the country, he is welcomed back into the country by the deputy president. In fact, we have had instances in the past where the deputy president is also out of the country, but quickly rushes back ahead of the president so that they can be at the airport to welcome back the president. Well, this weekend, Gachagua was in the country, very busy, too busy to welcome back Ruto. What? Now, of course, that means iko kitu. There is a problem. And if you're still gathering evidence, if you're still looking for evidence, there it is for you. Yeah, very clear, conclusive evidence that iko shida. There is a problem. But let us start today with these controversial Azimio leaders in Ruto's delegation to the United States. Now, who invited Opiyo and I, Gladys Wanga, Wavinya Ndeti, and others who should not have been on that trip to accompany Ruto to the United States of America? Who? Well, Azimio leader Raila Odinga told us it was the US government. Some people have said no, it was not the US government. Well, it was the US government, but let us be more specific. Who in particular in the US government? Wait for this one. It was US envoy to Kenya, Meg Whitman. In fact, this trip to the US was all Meg Whitman. Now, that is a point that has not been captured by many. And the politics here is a little complicated. And if you're the kind of person who insists on looking at things in black and white, and especially politics, you will never get it. But it is very significant. Oh, it is so significant to our motherland, Kenya, and what is going to happen to us next. Trust me. And now we can understand a little better the visit by the US envoy to Raila's home in Karen shortly before this trip happened. Yeah, remember, everything is linked. Everything is connected. The best way to do political analysis is to always, forever, try and link events in politics. Now that one makes perfect sense. But now I'm going to give you a riddle, that I will come back to at the end of my show today. But meanwhile, you can chew on it. The invitation of Azimio leaders to the US and the invitation of Ruto to the US was done by Meg Whitman, but it was not done by the US government. I have laughed, but I'm serious. That is the riddle for you. And just to be clear, I have not lost my marbles. I know that Whitman is the US government envoy to Kenya. I'm aware of that, but I insist on my riddle. It was Meg Whitman and not the US government. Chew on that as we continue. But now, let us deal with the nagging question on the minds of Kenyans. Okay? What this big trip to the US, very expensive, what it was all about. Now, we have had various theories. One compelling one is that when you go to seal a big deal, you must arrive in style. You must impress and prove to those you want to do the deal with that you're big enough for that deal. And according to this theory, this is why Ruto hired a very expensive jet to arrive in the US in style. Now, years ago, I went to a very remote area of industrial area Nairobi to seal a big deal. And the meeting went fantastic. Everything was okay. I was sure I had this deal in the bag. And then something happened. My host decided to escort me to my car. And of course, I did not have a car. I had gone there in a matatu, public means. And so we reached the car park, and I shook their hand warmly, and I headed on foot towards the main gate of the factory. And that was the end of my big deal. It was killed right there. Because in the eyes of my host, the deal was clearly too big for me. They were not going to make such a deal with somebody who uses a matatu. Even an Uber, a taxi, would not have cut it. Even a smoking vehicle in the car park would not have cut it. Only a gleaming, impressive car that looked like the deal would have saved that deal for me. Okay? It's just life. And the way we humans always insist on judging others by what we see rather than what is inside them. And so the long and short of this theory is that Ruto had to arrive in style. Well, I'm not in agreement with that theory. There is no evidence to support that theory, especially when you look at the itinerary of Ruto in the US, visiting celebrities, Hollywood, etc., etc. It doesn't fit into that theory. In my opinion, and with the information I have, this is actually what it was all about. If you want to seal a deal, and there are small hiccups and small obstacles here and there, what do? You host the person you want to make the deal with to a lunch where you're paying, or you fly them out to the coast for a brief holiday as you discuss the finer details of your deal. And this is very important. As you're inviting them, they may want to be accompanied by a few people. They will have to ask you for permission. Can I come with so and so? For example, you have invited me. Can I come with my wife? Can I come with my children so that they can have a small holiday on the side? That is how it goes. And to understand this US trip, that is how we must look at it. Alternatively, the host, who is paying all the bills, may decide as part of his strategy, I want you to fly out to the coast with your wife and your children. That is okay. They could even go further. I also suggest that you come along with your house help. The host, who is paying all the accommodation bills, the food, etc., etc., may decide to do that. And he may give an excuse. I want you to come with your house help so that your wife and your children totally enjoy. With somebody to pick up the dirty clothes after them. But maybe your real motive is to recruit that house help as a spy for you in that household. Now please allow me to very quickly deal with the Gachagua manenos, and then we'll come back to that controversial trip, because there are many things involved there, and I don't want to bore anybody. Now Gachagua's behavior is attracting a lot of attention and curiosity from Kenyans. There is even this theory that there's a very brutal, fierce war going on deep inside UDA between the Kalenjin community and the Mount Kenya region led by Rigathi Gachagua, or rather the Agikuyu led by Rigathi Gachagua, which of course could spell doom immediately to Finance Bill 2024. And I'm afraid, for those who want to doubt this story, there is too much evidence to support it. Look at the utterances in recent weeks, and look even more carefully at who has said what. And even more significant, who welcomed Ruto back into the country. It was internal CS, Kithure Kindiki, and a man called Aden Duale, who is the Defense Cabinet Secretary. Now hold on a minute. Aden Duale was on the US trip, wasn't he? Meaning, he rushed back ahead of the president to welcome him back into the country. Now, who does Aden Duale represent? Aden Duale represents a powerful force that supports the Ruto presidency, and that is the Somali community. And so, Rigathi Gachagua is missing at the airport, but at the airport to welcome the president is Aden Duale. In other words, even without the support of the Agikuyu, the message is the president has the support of the Somali community. And the drama continues. You can be very sure of that. Now, in a nutshell, what we have said today is that all the developments linked to Ruto's trip to the US is very bad news for long-suffering Kenyans. Very bad news. That is really what we are saying. And indeed, it is the view of many Kenyans who are saying Kenya has been sold. But where is the evidence? Where is the solid proof behind these sweeping statements? What is the answer to the riddle I gave you? That it was organized by Meg Whitman and not the US government. What does that riddle mean? Well, all the shocking explosive answers are in my very latest special report, The Secrets of Uncle Sam in Kenya. Now, I'm going to say something I have never said before. So sensitive is the information in this special report that wale wazungu wa hii mtandao wanaweza kuifuta na kuitoa hiyo ripoti yangu wakati wowote. Kwa hivyo tafadhali harakisha, na ukiipata uinakili ndani ya kompyuta yako, uwe na copy in case you want to refer to it later. That is how serious things are, because it has everything, even the very clear answer to that riddle I gave you. In fact, without exaggerating, I can say that this special report rewrites certain important aspects of Kenya's history. It rewrites the history. You know, you can have information that forces you to go back and look at history afresh. That is exactly what we're talking about here. But this special report is not about history. It is about the now and here and what is happening. And that information about the here and now changes what we have always believed about the past and Kenya's past and Kenya's history. Now you can see all the details on your screens right now on what you have to do. If you want to grab this highly sensitive special report right away, for only Kenya shillings 4,999 or $38, you can have it pop in your inbox in minutes or even seconds, if you remember to text me your email immediately after you've made your payment. And as usual, but especially for this highly sensitive special report, the numbers we're looking for here are limited. Only the first 10 will be able to get access to this information. So please act fast to avoid disappointment. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.